If you're retired or about to retire, this is huge. The state pension is getting its biggest boost in 4 decades. But the real question is, how much more will you actually get, and when does it kick in? Before we dive into the details, make sure you hit subscribe. I share regular updates to help UK pensioners stay informed and make the most of their retirement income. Good news for UK pensioners, it's finally happening. The biggest state pension rise in over 4 decades has just been confirmed. If you rely on your pension to make ends meet, you'll want to hear this. This video is going to walk you through everything you need to know about this historic increase, how it affects your income, and what steps you should consider taking right now to make the most of it. For far too long, pensioners across the United Kingdom have felt the squeeze of rising living costs. Energy bills have skyrocketed, groceries have become increasingly expensive, and the value of fixed incomes has been eroded by inflation year after year. Many retirees have found themselves making difficult choices between heating their homes and affording essential medications. They've had to cut back on social activities, reduce their food budgets, and worry constantly about how they'll make it through each month. This financial strain has been particularly tough for those who worked hard throughout their lives, paid their taxes faithfully, and did everything right to prepare for retirement. The cost of living crisis has been unforgiving to millions of pensioners who thought their retirement years would be more secure and comfortable than they've turned out to be. Now, finally, there's some genuine relief on the horizon. Starting in April of this year, the government has confirmed that state pensions will receive the largest increase in over 40 years. This isn't a modest bump or a token gesture. This is a real, substantial increase that will make a meaningful difference in the daily lives of millions of retirees. The announcement of this pension rise represents recognition of the genuine hardship that pensioners have endured, and it signals a commitment to ensuring that those who have retired after a lifetime of contribution are not left behind by economic circumstances beyond their control. To understand why this increase is so significant, we need to talk about how the state pension actually works in the United Kingdom. The government uses something called the triple lock mechanism to determine annual pension increases. This system was introduced to protect pensioners by ensuring that their income keeps pace with real changes in the economy and society. The triple lock works by looking at 3 different economic measures and choosing the highest one to determine the increase for that year. The first measure in the triple lock is inflation, specifically the rate of inflation measured in September of the previous year. Inflation reflects how much prices have risen across the economy, and by linking pensions to inflation, the government ensures that pensioners can still afford the same basket of goods and services even as prices increase. Without this protection, pensioners would slowly lose purchasing power each year, finding that their pension buys less and less as time goes on. The second measure is wage growth. This reflects how much earnings have risen across the workforce. The thinking behind this measure is that if people earning wages are getting increases that reflect economic productivity and growth, then pensioners should share in that prosperity as well. Wage growth represents real economic advancement and suggests that the country is becoming more prosperous overall, which should benefit all citizens, including retirees. The third and final measure is a flat 2.5% increase. This is a floor that guarantees a minimum level of increase every single year, protecting pensioners even during periods when inflation or wage growth might be very low. This minimum ensures that pensioners always see some tangible increase, maintaining confidence in the system and preventing scenarios where pensioners might receive little or no increase at all. This year, it's wage growth that is leading the way, and that's exactly why this increase is the biggest in 40 years. Wage growth has been particularly strong, reflecting the labor market dynamics and economic recovery that have occurred over the past year. When you think about what this means, it's quite remarkable. The last time the state pension saw an increase this large was way back in the 1980s. That was decades ago, and for an entire generation of pensioners who have retired in the intervening years, they have never experienced an increase of this magnitude. For someone receiving the full new state pension, this translates to an extra £900 per year. Now let's put that in perspective. That's roughly £17 extra per week going into your pocket. If you're receiving a basic state pension under the old system, your increase will be different, typically somewhat less than the full new state pension recipients, but you will still see a meaningful boost to your weekly income. Over the course of a year, this money can make a real difference. It could cover additional heating costs during winter months. It could allow you to afford better nutrition and eat more healthily. It could give you the financial breathing room to maintain social connections and participate in activities that bring joy to your life. For some pensioners, this increase might mean the difference between choosing between essentials and actually having those essentials without the constant worry. Now, it's important to understand that not everyone will receive exactly the same increase, and that's where understanding the different types of pensions becomes relevant. If you're on the basic state pension, which is the older system that was in place before the new state pension was introduced in 2016, your increase will be calculated slightly differently. The basic state pension operates on a different formula, and while it will still receive an increase, it will typically be lower than the increase received by those on the new state pension. This isn't unfair. It simply reflects the different structures of these two pension systems. Many people have a mix of contributions under both the old and new systems, and their pension reflects a combination of both entitlements. In these cases, each component will be increased separately according to its own rules, and then combined to give you your total pension payment. The important thing to know is that the government's commitment is that everyone will see a boost. There is no pensioner who will be left behind by this increase. Whether you're on the full new state pension, the basic state pension, or a combination of both, the triple lock mechanism ensures that you will receive an increase. This universality is actually one of the strengths of the triple lock system. It was designed to protect your income against rising costs, and that's exactly what it does. By linking pensions to measures of inflation and wage growth, the system ensures that pensioners share in the prosperity of the country while also being protected during times when the economy might be struggling. The triple lock formula has been the subject of considerable political debate over the years. During the pandemic and in the years following, there were discussions about temporarily suspending the triple lock because the inflation figures and wage growth figures created what some saw as unsustainable increases in government spending. However, the current government has made the decision to stick with the triple lock promise, and that decision is reflected in this record pension increase. This commitment to honoring the triple lock demonstrates a recognition that pensioners deserve security and predictability in their retirement income. It's also worth remembering that while this increase is welcome news, and it certainly is, you should be aware of potential complications that might arise from having a higher income. Higher income could affect certain means-tested benefits that you might be receiving. If you're receiving housing benefit, for example, or council tax support, or other benefits that are calculated based on your income level, an increase in your state pension could affect your eligibility for those benefits or the amount you receive. It's not necessarily the case that you'll lose these benefits entirely, but the amount might be reduced as your state pension increases. Additionally, if your income crosses certain tax thresholds, you might find yourself paying income tax on your pension for the first time, or paying a higher rate of tax if you're already a taxpayer. The tax-free allowance for personal income in the current year is £12,570, and if your total income, including your state pension and any other income you might have, exceeds this threshold, you'll be liable for income tax. This is actually important to understand because many pensioners who have lived their entire retirement with income below the tax threshold might suddenly find themselves in a different situation once the pension increase takes effect. This doesn't mean the increase is a bad thing, but it does mean you should be aware of the potential tax implications. I strongly recommend that you take some time to look at your specific circumstances. If you receive any means-tested benefits, contact the relevant local authority or government office and let them know about your pension increase. They may need to recalculate your benefits, and it's important that you're getting the exact right amount of support that you're entitled to. If you're unsure about whether you'll be liable for tax on your pension, you can contact HMRC or speak with an accountant or financial advisor who can review your total income situation and advise you accordingly. After years of genuine cost of living challenges, this state pension increase represents some well-deserved relief for UK pensioners. You've paid your taxes throughout your working lives. You've contributed to the system. You've built the country that we all live in today. And now, when you're in your retirement years, it's only right that you're supported fairly and that your income keeps pace with the reality of living in modern Britain. This pension rise acknowledges that reality and provides tangible support. The broader context here is that pensioner poverty and financial insecurity have been growing concerns across the developed world. Many countries have struggled with how to balance the fiscal costs of generous pensions with the moral imperative to ensure that people who have retired don't live in poverty or hardship. The United Kingdom's triple lock mechanism is actually considered one of the more generous and protective systems globally, and it reflects a societal choice to prioritize pensioner security. This latest increase reinforces that commitment. Looking ahead, it's worth thinking about how you'll use this additional income strategically. Some pensioners might choose to save a portion of the increase to build up a buffer for emergencies or future needs. Others might use it to improve their quality of life immediately by affording activities they've had to forego, or by eating better, or by heating their homes more comfortably. There's no right or wrong answer here. The increase is yours to use as you see fit, and the best use of it will depend entirely on your personal circumstances and priorities. If you want to stay up to date with pension changes, retirement tips, and money-saving advice for your later years, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more updates. We regularly cover topics that matter to retirees and pensioners, and subscribing ensures you won't miss important information that could affect your finances and your quality of life. Thank you for watching, and I hope this increase brings you some genuine relief and financial breathing room in the months and years ahead.